You won't believe what my brother said at dinner and how it changed everything I thought I knew about my family. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe. The evening air in Raleigh had that crisp November bite, the kind that makes you pull your cardigan tighter and sip your wine a little slower. I'm Lorraine Thompson, 38, and that night I had spent hours planning a dinner I hoped would mark a turning point for my family. The table was dressed perfectly, candles flickering softly, a fresh tablecloth, and a roast turkey sending waves of aroma through the house. I had just received a promotion at my finance firm, a title I'd worked my entire adult life to achieve. My chest swelled with anticipation as I pictured my family's smiles, their pride reflecting back at me. I wanted them to see me, not just as their daughter, but as someone who'd finally earned her own success, someone who could help lift the family in ways they hadn't recognized before. My husband Robert carried grocery bags in from the car, teasing me about how I must be trying to feed an army. My son Benjamin helped with the stuffing, tiny hands carefully folding bread and herbs, looking up at me every now and then with that mix of curiosity and excitement kids have when they sense something important is about to happen. Everything was perfect, or at least I thought it was. I'd spent days preparing this dinner. Every dish was chosen with intention. Green bean casserole for my mom, pecan pie for my dad, the wine my brother mentioned liking last summer. I wanted a night where we could sit, eat, laugh, maybe even toast to my promotion. I remembered my younger years, the nights I stayed up late poring over textbooks, the sacrifices I made for my career while my brother Matthew seemed to coast through life. My husband had been there every step, brewing coffee at midnight, cheering me on through every exam, every late night, every nerve-wracking presentation. I wanted him to see that those years of struggle weren't just for me. They were for us all. As the evening wore on, the house filled with the soft sounds of jazz, the occasional clink of silverware. My parents arrived first, faces tight, smiles thin. Hugs were quick, almost perfunctory. My Aunt Ellen made small talk about the weather, but her laugh didn't reach her eyes. And then there was Matthew, late, distracted, scrolling on his phone as if the night held no importance at all. Something felt off. I tried to shake it, attributing the chill in the room to nerves. I wanted this to be a moment of unity, not tension. Benjamin gave me a look, raising his eyebrows, sensing it too, but he stayed quiet. We sat down. The turkey was golden, the sides steaming, the table a picture of a perfect Thanksgiving. Or at least it looked perfect. I took a deep breath, ready to share my news. My promotion, my hard work, my dedication, all of it. Finally, something to make them proud. But before I could even open my mouth, Matthew stood up, glass in hand, eyes fixed coldly on me. The room went still, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Mom and Dad said you never contribute anything to this family, he declared, his voice cutting clean through the warmth of the room. The sound hit me like a slap. My parents nodded, my aunt clapped. Even some cousins joined in the applause, like I had just performed a solo at a concert and missed every note. Benjamin froze mid-bite, eyes wide. Robert's hand on mine barely registered. I felt the sting of betrayal before relief. I forced a smile, every muscle in my face tense, and said slowly, "Perfect." Then came the words that made the room gasp. "The $6,000 I've been paying for your mortgage every month, it stops today." My dad choked on his wine. My mom's fork clattered onto her plate. The room went silent, all eyes now on me. I didn't elaborate. I didn't need to. The truth had been there all along, hidden behind my quiet sacrifices, and now it was finally in the open. For 5 years, I'd been covering their mortgage, $6,000 a month, plus health insurance, plus emergency repairs, just to keep them afloat while they turned a blind eye to my accomplishments. And now finally, that burden was mine no longer. The room's energy shifted from shock to disbelief. Matthew's smug expression faltered, his eyes narrowing in confusion and rage. My parents didn't speak. My Aunt Ellen's mouth opened, but no words emerged. Benjamin stared at me, and for the first time that night, I saw a glimmer of pride in his young eyes. Robert's hand squeezed mine with quiet, unwavering support. The remainder of the dinner passed in near silence. Pamela pushed her food around her plate. Ralph sipped wine with the face still red from the cough. My cousins avoided eye contact. The earlier cheerfulness vanished. I felt a strange sense of calm. Years of carrying their burdens had left me drained, and in this moment of confrontation, I realized the weight had lifted. After dinner, things didn't quiet down outside the house. A week of voicemails, texts, and whispers from family began to filter in. My parents called, insisting I continue the payments. Matthew texted, accusing me of destroying the family. Cousins chimed in with their opinions, some supportive, most not. It stung, but I had already decided I wouldn't be drawn into the chaos. The real revelation came from Aunt Ellen. She called quietly one afternoon. "Lorraine, you need to know something. Matthew has known about all the payments for years. He bragged about not having to contribute anything, letting you carry the load alone." The words hit me like a brick wall. Matthew hadn't just accused me falsely at dinner. He had schemed, manipulated, and hidden the truth, all while letting me shoulder the entire burden. Years of sacrifice, invisible to the ones who should have noticed most. I sat in my office, staring at the wall, mind racing. Robert came and sat beside me, hand on my shoulder, a silent anchor. He said, "You don't owe him anything." I nodded, feeling the weight of that truth settle. I was done with Matthew, done with my parents' entitlement, done with hoping for gratitude that would never come. That night, Benjamin knocked on my bedroom door. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked, concern in his voice. I smiled, ruffling his hair. "I'm fine, Ben, just figuring out who really matters in this family." His understanding, quiet but profound, reminded me that family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by love, loyalty, and respect. And in that room with Robert and Benjamin, I finally felt that family. Little did I know, the fallout from that dinner was just beginning. Matthew wouldn't let the story end quietly, and my parents were already spinning their version of events behind my back. The lies, the accusations, the online whispers, they were coming for me, and the next chapter would test everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and justice. The days after cutting off my parents felt surreal. There was an eerie calm in the house, broken only by Benjamin's laughter as he built forts out of couch cushions, or Robert's soft hum while cooking dinner. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the invisible weight of their expectations pressing down on me. But even with that calm, there was an undercurrent of tension. I knew the storm wasn't over. A few mornings later, I received a letter. It was formal, typed, bearing the letterhead of a lawyer I didn't recognize. My heart sank as I tore it open. It was from my parents' attorney, demanding payment, threatening legal action for unfulfilled obligations. My hands trembled, but instead of panic, a strange resolve settled in me. I sat down at the kitchen table, coffee steaming in front of me, and read the letter again. Every demand, every accusation felt hollow compared to the reality of what I had done for them. Robert walked in, noticing the envelope. "Want me to handle it?" he asked, calm but protective. I shook my head. "No, this is my fight." I said, taking a deep breath. They need to see the truth, even if they refuse to accept it. I called my lawyer, the same woman who had helped me secure Benjamin's trust. We'll respond, I told her, my voice steady. No money will change hands, and we'll outline their history of neglect and my support. She nodded, typing notes into her system, but her voice carried that rare approval she gave only to clients who truly knew their boundaries. That night, I sat in my living room, Benjamin curled up beside me on the couch, flipping through a photo album from his school year. Robert was in the kitchen, cleaning up from dinner, the sound of water running over dishes oddly comforting. I realized then that I wasn't alone anymore. My family wasn't defined by blood alone. It was the people who saw me, who valued me, who had my back unconditionally. But just as I began to feel secure, my phone buzzed again. It was a text from Matthew. Simple, yet loaded. We need to talk. Now. I stared at it, my stomach twisting. I hadn't expected him to back down, but the urgency in his tone hinted at something bigger than his usual self-serving concerns. I called Robert into the room, showing him the message. "Do you think he's coming over?" he asked cautiously. I shrugged, my fingers hovering over the screen. "If he does, I'm ready. Let him try." The next evening, the doorbell rang. Benjamin was already asleep, and Robert and I exchanged glances. I opened the door to find Matthew standing there, his jacket damp from the evening drizzle, eyes darting nervously between me and Robert. For a moment, neither of us spoke. "Lorraine, I didn't mean for it to get this bad," he began, voice low. I just... His words trailed off. I crossed my arms, motionless. What, Matthew? Let me carry everything while you played the perfect son?" My voice was calm, but each word dripped with years of pent-up frustration. He swallowed hard, avoiding my gaze. "I didn't know. I didn't think." He stumbled over excuses like a man trying to patch a sinking boat. "I thought you wanted to help, and I didn't want to, I don't know, make things worse." Robert stepped forward, firm but measured. "Matthew, you didn't just make things worse. You actively lied, allowed her to bear the full burden, and then had the nerve to accuse her of neglecting you. Leave now, or I call the police." His tone left no room for argument. Matthew hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing his face, then turned on his heel and left, muttering something under his breath. After the door clicked shut, I sank into the couch, exhausted. Robert sat beside me, hand resting on mine. "Are you okay?" he asked. I nodded, finally allowing the tension to seep out of my shoulders. "I am now," I whispered. "It's finally over, I think." The following weeks brought a strange clarity. Without the constant pressure from my parents and brother, I began to notice the little things I had ignored for years. The backyard, overgrown with weeds, became a garden Robert and I tended together. Benjamin and I started baking on weekends, laughing when flour covered our noses more than the counter. Life was reclaiming its rhythm, small but meaningful. Then came a call from Ellen, my aunt. She sounded hesitant, almost guilty. "Lorraine, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for letting this happen. I should have said something sooner about Matthew." Her voice quivered. "I didn't know how much you were doing. I didn't realize." I let out a long breath. "It's okay, Ellen. You didn't know, but now you do, and I hope you understand why I had to draw the line." Weeks later, I received a quiet email from another cousin, not even mentioning the drama, just sharing pictures of a new baby and their family. No accusations, no whispers, just life moving forward. It struck me then how heavy the old family drama had been and how light life felt without it. Christmas approached, and for the first time, I decorated our home without a shadow of guilt or obligation. Benjamin hung ornaments on the tree while Robert strung lights along the porch. I laughed freely, not calculating every expense or anticipating criticism. The season felt real. Warmth, joy, and love weren't dictated by blood ties or money. They were created through care and presence. One evening, as we sat in the living room, the fire crackling softly, Benjamin turned to me. "Mom, I'm glad we're our family," he said quietly. His words hit harder than any confrontation or argument. I smiled, ruffling his hair. "Me too, Ben. Me too." Months passed, and the silence from my parents and brother remained. I won't lie, it stung at times, a quiet ache, but it was nothing compared to the relief of finally being seen and respected. I was no longer invisible in my own family. My contributions were acknowledged by the people who mattered, not taken for granted by those who never would. One sunny afternoon, while sorting through old paperwork, I stumbled across a file of all the receipts, notes, and records of the money I'd spent supporting my parents. I stared at it, a mix of sorrow and pride washing over me. Those receipts weren't just numbers. They were proof of endurance, patience, and ultimately, boundaries. I didn't need validation from Ralph, Pamela, or Matthew. I had learned that protecting myself didn't make me selfish. It made me strong. Life didn't magically become perfect. Occasionally, whispers or rumors would drift back from distant relatives, but they no longer shook me. I had my own family now, Robert, Benjamin, and a sense of peace that years of sacrifice and anger had denied me. One sunny afternoon, Robert and I walked through a local park, Benjamin running ahead, laughter echoing through the trees. I felt a lightness I hadn't known in years. I realized that family isn't always about sharing the same blood. It's about sharing respect, love, and loyalty. The people who lift you up, who see your worth, are your true family. As we watched Benjamin chase after a stray butterfly, Robert squeezed my hand. "We've got this," he said. I smiled, feeling it in my chest, the unshakable truth that I was finally free to live my life on my own terms. And that's when I knew I'd survived the storm, set boundaries, and in doing so, had gained a life filled with love, respect, and genuine connection. A life where my contributions were recognized, my voice heard, and my heart finally at peace. Because sometimes the hardest choices lead to the truest freedom. And sometimes letting go isn't losing, it's finally winning.